Hi, this week's shir is from Yer HaKodesh Shalayim, and the topic is why a Jew's nose bigger. Obviously, it's not because air is free, because that would be a nasty thing to say. So, as we always know, that everything we discuss is always on a pnimius, ruchniistic side. So we have to go into this idea of what is the tachlis of the nose in the Tzuras Adam. And obviously it'll have to do with Parshas Pinchas, because Parshas Pinchas is a big part of it is the karbanis of the Yom Tovim, and in every carbon it says Reach Nichayach Lashem, and that the Reach comes from where Reach comes. The Chush HaReach comes from the nose, and you'll also see that aside from the Chush HaReach coming from the nose has a major function, because that's where the neshama of a person is. And also it's going to have a lot to do with the coming 3 weeks. Today was Shavas B'Tammuz. 3 weeks are coming. The reason it's called Bein HaMitzarim. What does that mean, Bein HaMitzarim? So, to start off, it's a joke that we say that Jews have big noses, but really it's brought in the Torah. That it says that the Rabbeinu Shel Olam has charoin af. That he has like an anger, and the af is his nose. What does it mean, his anger in the nose? That is that when you see a person, they get very angry, so their nose, their nostrils flares out. That's a part of charoin af, that the nostrils flare out. When a person calms down, so the nostrils stop flaring. And what do you tell a person who's very agitated and angry? You say, sit down, calm down, take deep breaths, inhale through your nose. In other words, so the whole ruach of the person, the whole mood of the person is coming from the nose. Now we know that if somebody's angry, that's shoylet and midas hadin, which is called gevura. And when a person is doing good things that's coming, or things are happening that are good, it's called midas hachesed. Rabbeinu Shel Olam, obviously we are emulating everything Rabbeinu Shel Olam does. So everything that he does is kulei tov, but part of the tov is things that are perceived as bad. In other words, if let's say chas v'shalom, we know that a Holocaust took place, and millions of Yidden were literally slaughtered, and everybody asks kashas, how could that be? So of course we can never say that we have an answer, as the pasuk tells us. First of all, the pasuk tells us milfanei reisi, mecharei reisi, milfanei lo reisi. What happened in the past, I know about it. What's going to happen in the future, me as a human can never know. That's reserved for Rabbeinu Shel Olam. The same thing follows with cheshbonos. Cheshbonos also, we don't know cheshbon. Why the Rabbeinu Shel Olam caused such a gzeira on Yidden? There are theories, but there's no facts. The facts are strictly for the Rabbeinu Shel Olam to run the world as he sees fit. No other way. That's just the Metzias. And when you see it b'chush, that I just went on a tour, and we saw where the older Yidden were killed, and ashes, and where they stayed, and all the terrible tzaras that they suffered, and we don't know the reason, but obviously Rabbeinu Shel Olam had a big plan. Whatever the plan is, it was for good. The problem with the good is that sometimes it's covered up and we don't see it. The only thing we could say that we do see is that the amount of Torah being learned in the world today is more than ever was. Certainly in the past 1,000 years. And we go into certain Bata Midrashim, and they were huge, they were big, but in comparison, you walk into a base medrash like in Lakewood, in BMG, you walk into any base medrash that holds 1,000 people. There's ain't a dime to what you see that took place here in Europe. So I'm not saying Chas v'Shalom there's no cheshbon, but a silver lining that by some more Torah is being learned today than ever was before. So we're not saying cheshbonis. But we are saying that the Rabbeinu Shalom had a charein af. When a person has charein af, they start breathing very fast. That's pshat charein af. Besides for the nostrils expanding, so they breathe quicker. And when they inhale to calm down, then we say inhale slowly. And the pshat is that the gvura is when a person's bekas, we want the kas to dissipate and go away very quickly. However, when a person is benachas and it's going to be reach nichayach Hashem, then we want to take it slow and easy and enjoy it and let it be enjoyable to whoever the makabel of this reach nichayach is. So again, why do Jews have big noses? For 2 reasons. Number one, that the kas that a person has, this midas hadin, that he's going to be bekas, should go away very quickly. And it goes away quicker if it has a way to come out faster. So if a person has a bigger place to remove that kas, so that's considered a mila. And at the same time, that place that's equally big to get rid of the midas hadin is equally big in order to accept the midas chesed. So, if you want to know why, because that's why we have big noses, because we want to have as little midas hadin as possible and get rid of it as fast as possible, and take in the chesed as much as possible and slowly. That's one. What does it have to do with the 3 weeks with Bein HaBetzarim? As we know, anything that is ruchni has no boundaries. Boundaries are strictly for this world. When Rabbi Shalom created the world, he was what's called mitzamtzum atzma. He made himself smaller. Not that he chas v'shalom got smaller, but just in our perception of him, made it in a way that we should be able to understand it. And since we are physical people, the only way we can understand it is through physical explanations and so forth. Therefore, Rabbeinu Shalom did for us a favor to be mitzamtzem himself and put himself into boundaries. Even though we say k'faydim alei olam, but he's called also Ein Sof, which means no end. Kulay ruchni. Gashmius does not exist. So therefore, when we come into a time what we call Bein HaBetzarim, we are in boundaries. Boundaries is midas hadin. Why? Because it's very small. It only can go a certain amount. Masha ein kein ruchnius. It goes forever. There is no boundary to ruchnius, right? So now that this is a time that's considered a Eis Tzara, Tammuz is considered a Eis Tzara, and so therefore, when it's an Eis Tzara, we have boundaries which are limiting our midas hachesed. So tragedies happen in this time. Of course, it happens in such a way that we cannot stop it, but we could daven that it shouldn't happen. And the way it shouldn't happen is that Hashem made a gzeira, and the gzeira goes on us and every individual. If a tragedy happens to somebody, it's our tragedy as well. Yiddish and Neshama is in tzar. Everybody's in tzar. Just like Klal Yisrael is considered like one body. If one finger hurts, so you are not functioning properly because of that one finger. You could still walk good. That doesn't have to do. If one of our Achenu B'nai Yisrael is hurt or in pain or whatever it is, it hurts us as well. So now that we are in this man of tzara, this man of mitzarim, so this time is a time that we have to increase. Of course, Limud HaTorah is number one of everything. And secondly, there's midas chesed, that we have to do chesadim for each other. If we see somebody in need, it's not that they are in need, it's that we are in need, that we need it as well. I also would just, since I went to Poland on a tour, I'd like to thank Rabbi Krohn, Mr. Ari Schaaf, and all the other people who were there, that we had such a inspiring time. It's hard to call it wonderful, but it was inspiring. And even though this is not my thoughts of the time we had, but to learn from it is twofold. Number one, if a yid is in tsar, it's like your finger hurts. So you have to, whatever you need to do to fix your finger, you have to do also to fix your yid. And also it should be ma'ir us constantly to do tshuva and make ourselves better and better and better. Ad ein kates. Thank you.